Hello and welcome back to a new lesson on the series. So in this video, we'll look into variables in a lot more detail than we did in the previous video. So if you haven't already, please check out the whole series in order. So like from part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. So in the previous video, we looked at what variables are. We looked at the basic definition of what a variable is. So how do we actually define a variable? What the assignment operator is. And we also looked at the difference between the mathematical symbol, like the mathematical equal sign symbol, with the assignment operator in Python. So just to recap, or just to look into a bit more detail regarding like what we covered in the previous video. So let's just remove all this. So let's start from the top. Let's save this. Okay, so let's start from the top. So a variable. So a basic definition of a variable consists of three different parts. So the first part being the variable name. So let's just say let's name our variable. Let's say let's just give population. So this time we'll change it a bit. So population. Population would be our variable name. So this would be, again, coming back to the analogy of what we looked into the previous video, the analogy of this being as a chest. So think of it as a chest. So a chest would be something that stores something of value. So the similar case being in this case. So population is a chest, or we created a chest, we call it population, and then the second part of a variable is the assignment operator. So what this does, basically this means is whatever is, so like from this point on, so whatever is on the right hand side, place it inside our chest or our variable called population. So let's just assign a variable, let's say, so given that this is a population of a city, so let's just say, I don't know, 24902, sure, 24,902. So in our made up city, the population of our city is 2,902. So again, to recap, the variable name, the variable, the assignment operator, which basically assigns this value on the right hand side, which is 24902, to the variable on the left hand side, which is population. And again, to differentiate what this is, or differentiate the mathematical definition of an equal sign, or the mathematical function of an equal sign with the assignment operator or the equal sign in Python. So it would be, let's declare a variable x equals 7 and y equals 9. Sure, and then let's print x and let's just print y. Let's run our script. So if you don't know how to run a script, I encourage you to watch this whole series in order so you know what's going on here. So as we can see, we've printed x, we've printed y, 7 and 9. So let's say that this is a mathematical statement, okay? So we're stating that y equals x. So in regular mathematics, the way this would be interpreted would be that y, so whatever y is, it's the same as x. So this side is the same as this side. But in Python, that is not the case. In Python, we're stating that this side, so with the assignment operator, we're stating that this side is, or the value of this side will be stored inside whatever the name is on the left hand side of the variable. So let's do this. Let's just change the value of y to a 4. So now in this case, x is equal to 7, y is equal to 9. Right now, y is equal to x. So we're saying that change the value of x from a 9 to a 7, which is x. And then here we're changing the value of y, or the value of y, to a 4 instead of being 7. So in Python, the value of y would be 4. So right now, if we were to print y, which we already are, so I'm just going to do this. So if we were to print y, the value of y would be 4. Or let me do this. So the value of y would be 4. But in mathematics, we're stating that this side is equal to this side. So if this is 4, x is also 4, which, as you can clearly see, is not the case in Python. So this is just a quick example of like what I was trying, or where I was trying to go with the previous video, which is to differentiate the purpose of this equal sign in mathematics and with Python. So let's erase all of this. So in this video, we are going to look at the naming conventions of Python, or the naming conventions of variable in Python. So as you already know, or as you should be aware right now, so the way we define a variable is with a variable name. So let's say x, and then the assignment operator. So we're assigning the value, let's say 6 or 5, sure. And then we're creating another variable y, let's assign 6, and with let's create another variable, so z, let's assign the value of z to 7. So x equals 5, y equals 6, z equals 7. So another way we can define all of this is in a inline definition of like whenever we're defining multiple variables. So an inline definition of variables would look something like this. So it would be separated by commas. So equals 5, 6, 7. So this right here is the same thing. So we're stating that x, the value of x, or the variable x, equals 5, y equals 6, z equals 7, and here we're doing the same thing. So x separated by commas equals 5, y equals 6, and z equals 7. So now that we've looked at like another way of defining multiple variables in a single line, just one thing I want to inform you is that like in Python, this way of defining like multiple variables at once, like in a single line, it's not recommended, or I wouldn't recommend it personally, because whenever you're developing a complex software or application, or a game, let's say, just anything that you're developing that like really uses a lot of variables, or it's really dependent on like the way you organize or manage your variables, I would not recommend using the inline definition, as like variables, like they literally serve the purpose of defining or giving a name to a certain value. So in this case, like it really defeats the purpose of having the variable as a definition for a value. So let's say that we're creating a game, and then we have the player health, or let's just write health for now. So health, let's say it equals 87 hit points, and the shield of our player would equal 56 shield points, sure. Now if we were to define this in a single line, it would still be the same thing, but I wouldn't recommend it, as like it's really unclear, and like if you're working, especially if you're working like in teams or with other people, it isn't a good way. Like it really like it kind of defeats the purpose of having a variable as a definition for a specific value. So health is our variable name for the value 87 hit points. Shield would be our value for the player's current shield points. So if we were to define this in a single line, the way, like if you were to, for example, like create a complex algorithm, or a complex script, a complex Python script, it would be really, it wouldn't be neat and clean. The variable names would not be descriptive at all in terms of like describing the value. So I would not recommend this method, as it gets like really messy when you start to develop complex scripts and complex algorithms later on. So this method I wouldn't recommend, of defining multiple variables at once, but it's still a way that you can define, but I wouldn't recommend it. It just gets really messy, and it's really hard to read the values and so on and so forth.